a total of 32 men were killed, but only 21 of them have received justice. Patrick Kearney was born September 4th, 1939, in East Los Angeles to a family that was for the most part stable. He was the youngest child and had 2 older brothers. As a child, he was thin and quite feeble. At school, he was tormented by bullies. In fact, many of his victims bore similarities to people who had harassed him in his youth. He was a reserved and quiet teenager, and it was in his teens that he'd actually began fantasizing about murder. For work, Patrick was employed by Hughes Aircraft as an engineer. His overseer at Hughes Aircraft described him as a model worker. In his adult life, he'd married only once, and it was very short-lived that ultimately resulted in divorce. In 1967, Patrick had relocated to Redondo Beach near Los Angeles with a younger man named David Hill. David had become Patrick's lover, and their relationship was far from perfect. It had consisted of frequent arguments, and amidst these arguments, Patrick would escape in his Volkswagen Beetle. It was 2 years before Patrick had moved in with David that he'd committed his first murder in 1965. He'd picked up a hitchhiker in Orange, California, and murdered him. However, his first confirmed murder was actually in 1968, when he lived in Culver City, California, about 1 year after him and David had started to cohabitate. Word choice here. So, when Patrick had adventured off during these disagreements, it was often that he would pick up and seek out male hitchhikers or young men from gay bars and kill them. Honestly, why is this such a popular thing for like every serial killer? Are these just the easiest people for them to like target and hit? They must be, right? Like, people are drinking, inhibitions are down, hitchhikers are alone, and like they don't have any, but maybe, I don't know. They're wrong place, wrong time, right? So, physically, he did not outwardly appear like a man who would commit such brutal crimes. He stood at 5'5" and was of slender build. he had begun bragging about his criminal conquests and started questioning Patrick about whether or not he had burglar alarms in his home himself. Another child victim of Patrick's was Merle Hondo Chance, whom was 8. He lived in Venice, California, and went missing on April 6, 1977. Reports claim that Chance was riding his bicycle near Kearney's place of business, and Patrick had told authorities that he suffocated the boy and took his body home with him that night. He had later dumped the remains in the Angeles National Forest. So Chance's decaying remains were found May 26 of 1977. And before his death, police had looked actually at Patrick as a person of interest in another murder. The 8-year-old boy was Patrick's last known victim. However, the victim that finally led to him being arrested was John LeMay, a young man who was 17 years old. Patrick had murdered LeMay on the 13th of March 1977, around 5:30 p.m., March 13th. And LeMay disclosed to a neighbor that he was heading to Redondo Beach to meet up with a man named Dave, whom he had met at a local gym. This man was David Hill, Patrick's lover, and the address that David presented to LeMay was actually Patrick's home address. So when LeMay got to the house that unknowingly he would die in, David was not there, but Patrick was. He invited him in to watch television while waiting on David, and without any inducement and just like pure instinct, Patrick had shot him in the back of the head. He later mutilated the corpse and discarded the remains in the desert, which were then discovered on March 18th of the same year. Dogto ASMR. So police had visited Patrick's house during the investigation of the murder of John LeMay. Not long after, police found out that John had been witnessed in the presence of David and Patrick. So Patrick resigned from his job, and he and David took off to El Paso, Texas. That's not incriminating. It was at the request of their families, though, that they'd actually turned themselves in. On July 1st, 1977, back in California at 1:30 in the afternoon, the pair went to Riverside County Sheriff's Office, recognized a wanted poster with their faces on it, and simply said, That's us, we're them. Let's go. And their bail was set at $500,000 each. So David Hill was 36 at the time that they turned themselves in, but ultimately David was cleared. The police decided that Hill was not involved in any of Patrick's acts. So Patrick completely cooperated with the authorities and at first admitted to 28 murders and then to 7 more. In place of the death penalty, he acquiesced to pleading guilty and made a full confession. So Patrick was charged for about 21 murders and pled guilty sentences. The police were convinced that Patrick was guilty of the other 7 murders that we told them he had committed, but they did not have any evidence to charge him. It was during his reign of terror in the 1970s that his killing spree was at its peak, and his strange urges went, for the most part, completely unexposed. Jerry Stevens, a local grocery store owner, did tell the police that Patrick had a peculiarity and interest in knives. He regularly bought butchering knives and asking a weird amount of questions about them and the different aspects of steel and all that stuff. So Jerry, the store owner, would proceed to tell the police that and classified Patrick as a loner with an eerie sense about him. So Patrick was fundamentally a necrophiliac, and his methods of murder and disposal were consistent while killing throughout his career, I guess. After his first few murders, and as time had went on, Patrick polished his MO. This allowed him to proceed with his crimes in a much more recurrent and productive manner, I guess. He had perfected his techniques of being a gay pickup artist from his previous encounters during his formative killing years in California. After targeting a victim along the highway or at gay bars in his VW bug or truck, Patrick would customarily shoot his victims in the temple above their ear with absolutely no warning. He would use a Derringer 22 pistol. So he would keep the pistol in his right hand while simultaneously driving the car with his left. He also had to keep the vehicle maintaining the speed limit, as to keep from arising suspicion from any potential witnesses. Would that work? Like if you saw somebody shoot someone and heard it maybe, but they were still going 50 and a 50, would that really work enough to make you second guess it and be like, must it be him? He'd be like ripping it, right? Like, would that work? Ask yourself that question. If you witnessed that and saw that going down the street, would that make you be like, couldn't be? I think it might work. Like, right? I don't know. My shirt keeps getting caught on something. But it could, right? Weird. So he primarily hunted partners in San Diego and Tijuana, Mexico. He was actually fluent in Spanish. And I don't know where I am. Oh yeah, and maintained an avid interest in Latin American culture. He used his skills to his advantage to interact with potential victims. And due to his meek stature, he had no choice but to utilize a scheme of overpowering his victims that was improbable to fail. This system put him in a position that was unlikely to put him at risk of physical danger or opportunity of attracting unwanted attention. So Patrick was partial to acts of murder that were more immediate and productive. After killing his victims, he would leave the bodies sitting up in the passenger seat, then proceed to drive to a deserted location to sexually assault the corpse afterwards. Nasty. After doing that, Patrick would customarily ultimately turned himself in and seemed to do so simply. But I think at that point, with his family and everyone knowing about, his boyfriend's buddy coming over and him just killing him, I think he really didn't have a choice, Now, I had never heard of this guy before. It's, I guess, good that he confessed ultimately and admitted so simply. It seems like once he was caught by his family, he was like, I'm caught. So at least less people died, but still, like, sure, you didn't torture people. You still murdered a lot of people and, like, raped their bodies. What do you... Yeah. So messed up. So have you guys ever heard of the trash bag murderer before? Again, I had not. But definitely interesting. It's, I don't know, I'm doing psychology courses now. And I find it interesting when people, like, still a murderer considers themselves like, oh, well, I didn't do this or that. Like, the way people can justify things being better, or maybe even didn't even necessarily think better, but differentiate themselves is so, like, interesting, Interesting. So, what did you guys think of today's video? Story. Leave a comment below on anything I may have left out or that you feel should be touched on a bit more. I've been trying to, like, with my true crimes, not ramble as much, at least the last two. So, just